Are you dealing with some anxiety? How about depression? Do you have a little bit of irritable bowel syndrome? Maybe you're getting some acid reflux and some of those hot burps that don't feel really good at night, and you're having to get up, prop your bed up, things like that, right? Has it ever occurred that those actually are telling us something about insulin resistance? Hey guys, I am Coach Ken. I am up here in Anchorage, Alaska, one part of Healthy Together and Feeling Great. And today we've got Natasha here on. Natasha is going to break down a little bit about the gut health and its connection in particular to the brain up here as well, and insulin resistance, and how this gut brain connection is impacting and what those signs are, your overall health, your overall metabolic health. So let's get into this as quickly as we can. And I'm glad that you're here. Make sure that you like, comment. If you've got questions, if you've got things that you'd like to ask, don't hesitate to put those down in the comment section. Let's get with it right away.
I'm already crying with you. This has been such an amazing first half so far. So I would like to share my screen. I hope you can see this. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, we can see it and hear you perfectly. So go right ahead.
All right, fantastic. So thank you so much, Trent, for this fantastic introduction. I am reeling in my seat, very, very excited to talk to you. John, your story was extremely inspiring. Congratulations on all your success and everyone else on this platform as well. So when Trent asked me to do this presentation, one thing that has been very, very passionate and dear to me as a pediatrician, because I've experienced it myself, is gut health. And the reason I want to talk about gut health is because I've noticed the massive transformation for my own gut health, something that I thought I'd had to live with for the rest of my life. I just thought that I had a bad gut. And I've seen this as well in children, and I've noticed their deteriorating gut health, unfortunately, because of the rising in processed foods. And it's not just processed food, it's ultra processed foods now. And this doesn't just affect their digestion. I mean, I have, patients that come in every week with constipation, and just for gut health. However, it also affects mental state. And it's not just mood disorders, it's also things that are a little bit more concerning that they have to take issues for, including autoimmune diseases, including some neurodivergence as well that can be exacerbated by poor gut, including chronic allergies. And so I believe that when you have your gut and you believe that it's separate from the rest of your body, or it's just an organ to digest food, and you don't realize how much it affects every other aspect of your body, we're missing a big piece of the puzzle here. So my title is the gut really is the second brain, and how your gut controls your mood, stress, and clarity. And when you heal your gut, as I did, you'll notice a direct link to clearer mood. So I'm really excited to share this with you. Trying to go to the next slide. So why, I alluded to this a little bit, but the gut health, why it matters is, again, because it's more than the just digestion. If any of you currently are dealing with any gut health issues, you may or may not know that it's directly related to your mood, your cravings, your immune system, your cognition. And the reason for that is there's actually a direct highway between your gut and your brain. And we'll talk about what nerve connects this highway, but the gut-brain axis is this two-way communication street. It's not just your gut affects your brain also affects your gut. And the reason for that is, as a background in history, our gut contains 4.5 trillion microbes in the entire gut system, and therefore your colon actually is its own ecosystem. Your bacteria that lives in your gut was there before you, and it will be there after you. It's true. It's many hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years old, and it works synergistically with your body. And it's meant to help you. It's its own ecosystem, but it's meant to help you and aid you in many processes that you're not even aware of, in your cravings, in your mood, in immune system function. And therefore, it really is, your gut always tells your brain what's going on, and your brain is always scanning what's happening in your gut. And so it really does matter. And so what is the cost of our gut health currently that is deteriorating? It's not a benign issue at all. Right now, 1 in 5 adults, and I believe that that number is very underreported, but 1 in 5 US adults are experiencing anxiety and depression. In fact, the most common medication right now in the US is an anxiety medication. And really gut dysbiosis is identified as a major contributing factor. We touched a little bit on what gut dysbiosis is, and it really is when you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria. We talked about 4.5 trillion bacteria that's living in your body, friendly bacteria. They're there to help you. However, when they're, when you have friends, you can have foes. When you don't nourish your gut bacteria, they can grow dormant and the bad bacteria can overgrow. So dysbiosis is when you have an imbalance of the enemy in your gut, and it causes and wreaks havoc. And part of that is because a lot of your feel-good neurotransmitters are actually made in your gut as well as your brain. So 70% of your feel-good hormone, serotonin, is actually made in your gut. Can you believe that? 70% of the hormone that helps you feel good is made in the organ that many people have poor health in. And so that really goes to show you and highlights why so many of us are dealing with anxiety and mood disorders right now. Of course, there's a huge economic impact of this, over $1 trillion globally in lost productivity. Again, I believe all these numbers are underreported because mood disorders are definitely something that also permeate into physical health as well. So when you consider that, that makes a huge difference in our lost productivity. And of course, because the gut is related to the brain, there's a huge cognitive decline as well. It's not a sign of aging when you're in your 30s and you forget the name of someone you knew for 30 years, or you forgot where you put your keys, or you forgot some really, information that you shouldn't be forgetting in your 30s and 40s and 50s. Early onset of Alzheimer's is also prevalent. So these are not signs of aging, it's signs of insulin resistance and poor gut health. And of course, Trent talked on this and a little bit earlier, but our processed foods consumption and overconsumption definitely contribute to this. And part of this is because over 30 years ago, the food industry wanted to increase the shelf life of our food, and they had to do that by removing the fiber and all of the nutritious properties of the food. And without fiber, our gut cannot thrive. And of course, as I mentioned, it does impact our workplace. So we're likely to miss more work days as a result. So there are these communication pathways. We talked about the gut-brain highway. There is a highway between your gut and your brain. And that highway is through the vagus nerve. And this is the longest nerve in your body. It connects your brain to multiple processes in your GI tract, in your heart as well. But it is this information superhighway between the gut and the brain. So it literally transmits right now. Your gut is giving signals to your brain as to what's going on, and your brain is giving signals to your gut. And it influences your mood, your stress, your cravings, whether you want to hug someone. There are literally bacteria that decides whether or not you desire to hug someone. And if you drive anywhere in Texas, you realize a lot of us are missing that bacteria. There's a lot of neurotransmitters, as we talked about, that are made in the gut as well as the brain, but 90% of the serotonin is made in the gut. And so that means that if it's disrupted, mood disorders follow. GABA, which is the calming hormone, is also produced in the gut. So when that's disrupted, you have an increase in anxiety, fear, and disruption in your calm states. And of course, we talked about inflammation. 70% of your immune system is produced in your gut. So this really highlights the rise of poor gut and autoimmune diseases as well, not being able to clear certain bacteria and viruses. There are a lot of patients that I come across that have recurrent strep, recurrent viruses, and long COVID. Those are all signs that the immune system is not functioning optimally. And of course, when you have poor immune function, you have something called neuroinflammation. And it's also linked to the same things: depression, anxiety, brain fog, and impaired dysfunction. And we talked about the immune system. And as well, this is also, we didn't talk about it then, but it also increases the risk of hyperactivity and, ASD, autism spectrum. The gut health is usually a huge factor in that. In fact, a lot of people who improve their gut health greatly have shown improvements in mood disorders and activity, hyperactivity as well. And so we'll go from there. So we talked a little bit already about the dynamic two-way street between the gut and the brain, and the brain and the gut. So the brain and the gut part is when you are stressed, when you are feeling when you're not optimally at ease, you're also increasing the risk of IBS and digestive issues And so you feel it in your gut when you're also stressing your brain. So that it's that two-way highway we talked about. So again, we won't go too much into the science, but the beautiful thing about the human body is that it may have taken us years to get here, but it won't take us years to come out of it. The human body is so, so resilient. One of the reasons I love working with children is that they are super, super, super resilient. One little tiny intervention and they're back to their baseline. But even as adults, as you can see with John's story and many, many, many others who have taken their health seriously, an intervention that tells your body, I'm here to give you back what it needs to thrive will make huge, huge differences because your body is continually renewing itself. So these are very, very simple changes that you can make in your health. And we'll go into a quiz that you'll take to see where you are in that spectrum of gut health. But some of the basic things to do that we don't think a lot
Don't
about
worry, no
is,
quizzes. We're
your
not doing quizzes.
prebiotics, your fruits and vegetables, your whole grains, your root vegetables. Those are super important. What are prebiotics? That's the food that your bacteria needs to thrive on. And that's fiber. That's a variety of fruits and vegetables. Your bacteria, your good bacteria thrives on fiber. Your bad bacteria, guess what it thrives on? Sugar, processed foods. So we're starving our gut bacteria and we're feeding our good bacteria. I mean, our bad bacteria, excuse me. And so that's the reason why we are where we are. So if we just add back the fiber that our good bacteria needs to thrive, remember there's 4.5 trillion bacteria. So you need fiber. It's recommended about 50 to 60 grams of fiber a day, but we barely get about 10 to 20. And so the to go into is really good bridge to that. And then the probiotics are replacing some of the bacteria that you are lacking in your gut. So these are found in fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut. So these add back the healthy bacteria into your diet. And of course, reducing what your fungus and your bad bacteria loves to eat, which is processed food and excess sugar. And of course, the other part of it is if you're stressed, it will affect your gut. So I can't underline this enough, but it is really important that it is not an aside, taking time for stress management, mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, whatever it is you have to do it to lower your stress. Stress is a huge factor in your gut health. And of course, these are things that we know, we think we know, but we don't do them. And if we don't do them, find a reason why and find little tiny things that you can do daily to improve your sleep. This is still my challenge, of course, but I've gotten better. But sleep 7 to 9 hours a night, and lowering the blue light at night and increasing the sunlight in the morning helps a lot in regulating your gut health and improving your microbiome diversity as well. And then physical activity, I can't stress enough, it actually does boost your gut health and it reduces inflammation as well. So this is some of the things you can do. So I will challenge you this week to try one new produce that you have not, whether it's a fruit, a vegetable, spice, or a fermented. Some of you may or may not have ever really eaten fermented foods. I would encourage you to make your own yogurt, try kimchi. These are some of the fruits that I had this week. And I force myself to practice what I preach. I usually just take the same fruits and vegetables all the time. And yes, they're healthy, but remember, 4.5 trillion bacteria, they don't all eat the same things. So the more you eat the same healthy foods, you're allowing the other bacteria that could help you thrive in other ways to lay dormant. So try something that, when you think of the Garden of Eden, it probably had thousands of amazing produce, fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So I would encourage you every week to try at least one new fruit and one new vegetable. So I tried these fruits and vegetables. One was rambutan, one was something else. One was like a toad skin melon, which that one was good. And today I brought some persimmon, which I used to eat a lot in Korea, and dragon fruit, of course, and this other pepino melon. So, go to your local farmer's market. I got these from Whole Foods. Try something new that looks really odd and just go with it because just know that you are fertilizing your bacteria and maybe another bacteria will spring up. And like I've been
Eat
waiting for
weird
this
food,
whole
in other
time.
words. There we
So I
go.
challenge you to do that. And they do, I mean, they're amazing. These are all things that look beautiful in your counter and it'll force you to try new things and add variety to your diet. But we'll discuss another protocol you can use, which I'm going to go into now a little bit. I know Trent's going to discuss it a little bit more. But as I mentioned to you, we require a good 50 to 60 grams of fiber a day. Our ancestors got 100. So 50 to 60 is even half. We get about 10 if we're lucky. So this is a beautiful bridge, the protocol that we're discussing. This is the balance, and it adds a good amount of the fiber. It's about 4 to 5 grams, but it's when you ingest it, it becomes about 28 grams of fiber. So it's really amazing. It serves as a powerful prebiotic. It regulates your glucose and insulin levels. It will support your mood and increase your microbiome balance as well. It reduces inflammation, but Trent will go into it a lot more. But this is what actually healed my gut within a few months. I thought I was gluten sensitive. It's because I had poor gut health until I did the protocol. And of course, part of of gut health is fasting.
Hey, Sleepy
We're not
Daniel.
supposed to be eating every 2 to 3
Good morning.
hours. We're
Where are you
not
coming in
supposed to be
from?
snacking every 1 to 2 hours. When you fast, you're allowing your gut to get a rest, a very, very much needed rest, so that it can focus on healing. Your body can focus on healing. It reduces inflammation. It improves the diversity of your microbiome as well. And it also strengthens your gut lining. So fasting for a lot of people seems impossible because we're insulin resistant, and therefore when you're insulin resistant, your body is not able to tap into fat burning when you're insulin resistant. However, the second part of this protocol is this amazing, amazing tea that allows your blood sugar to be regulated and it allows you to be insulin sensitive. So the two together, the balance and the Unimate, allows your body to have a cleaner gut, calmer mind, and a sharper focus. So really, really quickly,
Okay.
this is for your own edification. I want you to self.
All right, we're gonna drop off of that real quick because Natasha, their writing is way too small, so we're gonna stop sharing real quick. So you're in the U.S. Awesome. I am up in Anchorage, Alaska. So welcome in. I don't know how much of that you got to see. We just finished our morning lecture. This one was on the gut brain connection with Dr. Natasha Pierre and helping with insulin resistance and reversing insulin resistance. So that is our morning session. Jordan, good to see you this morning. Yes, I remember you. What is it with that? Why does everybody always come on and they ask that, do I remember you? Do you feel like I'm going to forget people? I mean, there's a lot of people that come through, but no, I remember you. I remember you. So hope you're having an awesome morning. And as you're coming in, so here's the thing. I want you to look at that star right there. There are 5 questions today you need to ask about your health. All right. These are ones you should be asking every single day. How are you eating? All right. Which is a big part of the gut brain connection. How are you exercising? In order to handle and take care of blood glucose levels, it is so very important to be moving correctly, to move as much as you can. What are your extras? What are you consuming? What are you putting in your body? Who are you encouraging? If you are on this, you need to teach what you learn. You need to teach what you learn. When you learn something, the best way to get it up here permanently is to share it with somebody. I don't know the last time that you did that. But one of the most important things that you can do is to share your learnings with somebody else. It can totally change somebody's life, what you've learned about you. One of the reasons that I became a nutrition coach, one of the reasons that I have worked on this is to share, to move people on this journey to move forward. And I teach this so that I know it. I was diagnosed with diabetes. I was there. So I totally get what it's like to be in a place that it doesn't feel good and you're guessing about what you ought to be doing, what you should be doing, right? And there's so many questions that don't get answered. And here's the thing. I've got a video coming out today called Diabetes Sucks. It's coming out in about 3 hours. So make sure if you haven't subscribed that you subscribe. So the thing about that one is that when I was diagnosed with diabetes, I kind of had to backtrack. I had to work my way backwards. Why did I get diabetes? Why? And it was like, where does this come from? I had no idea. Doctor didn't explain to me. She said, eat less, move more. And I didn't even know what questions to ask. So I started to work backwards and I learned that it was really something called insulin resistance, which is something that happens 10 or 15 years before you're ever diagnosed with diabetes. And you could be having all kinds of signs. You can actually just go to prediabetes, and maybe you have non-alcoholic fatty liver. You're dealing with obesity. You've got high blood pressure. You've got skin tags. You've got anxiety and depression, right? You've got all of those things. You've got GERD. You've got acid reflux. Every single one of these is something that you're dealing with, but the doctors aren't addressing them. They're not talking about what these signs all are and what they're pointing to and address that. So I kind of had to work my way back. So I want to encourage you to start asking those 5 questions. All right. How are you eating? How are you exercising? What are your extras? Who are you encouraging? And then the 5th one is, how are you? This is my new one. Right. So sometimes I forget. It's not, so I'm teaching it. So it's grounded in me. How are you elevating your spirit? How are you elevating your spirit? How are you building yourself up mentally and emotionally and spiritually? What are you doing to lift up? What are you doing with your mindset? The problem's not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. That's from Captain Jack Sparrow. So that's what that star is right there. All right. Is to think about how you are living. How we are living. If you're going to reverse insulin resistance, if you're going to reverse diabetes, those 5 questions are key, because you are a whole person and you cannot escape that. You've got to address that. We've got to focus on that. If this is really something you're going to want to do, then that's the direction we got to go. All right. So if you got questions, I know Dr. Natasha talked a little bit about a protocol about the tea and the fiber. And if you are definitely interested in that, we'll do a different live on that. And I'll talk a little bit more about it. But it is one of the simplest things that you can do, that they come in simple packets. So they're just like electrolytes. So you get fiber and you get tea, and it is totally awesome. All right. Thanks so much for being here. If you have any questions, let me go ahead and pop this up right here. So if it is something that want to work with us and want to work one-on-one, that's part of the you're going to get everything you need to reinforce that, plus the product. So we're going to coach you on this. We're going to help you in reversing insulin resistance and move this through for your health. And it's what it's what I do right here. This morning, I'm drinking the tea right now. Every single day, this is the number 1 drink that I have. Is the Unimate that helps me with, not only it helped me reverse insulin resistance, it makes it and keeps it at bay, keeps me at peak metabolic health every single day. Here at 54, as I tell people, I feel more like I'm 24. Maybe one of these days I'll get to be 100 and I'll feel like I'm 50, whichever that is. I don't know. Hopefully I'll just keep staying where I'm at. So thanks so much for being here. Glad you guys came in, that were here. Let me know if you got questions. Let me know if you want to reach out to me, and leave any comments down below. All right. So go get the day, make it golden, go be excellent to one another, and go be excellent to yourself.